Hi, my name is Trolls, and in this video we're going to take a closer look at our Hybrid Tools Synphony Orchestra. We have two other videos where I'm demonstrating the effects. We have this massive section here of Hybrid Tools effects. There's a variety of new categories that we haven't introduced before, and then we also have another video where I'm showing a variety of the bonus presets that are also a part of our entire Hybrid Tools Synphony library. But in this video here, I'm going to take a closer look at the Synphony Orchestra and a variety of the synthesizers we also have in the library. We have like a stack of different types of synthesizers like cinematic basses and leads and sequence synthesizers and tonal noises and stuff. But let's start here by taking a closer look at the Synphony Orchestra. And the concept for this part of the library is really to recreate a traditional symphony orchestra but with synthetic means. So we used analog synthesizers to sort of rebuild the dream of what a synthesizer could become. It's almost like an homage to the old days. I'm sure you know that when the synthesizers came out, there's that premise, oh my god, like I can create any instrument. I can play a clarinet or an oboe or a drum machine or whatever it is. And it didn't really work out as planned in terms of being acoustically faithful to the natural instruments, but it became something on its own. And that's exactly what we did here as well. And as you can see here, we actually sampled both short notes and long notes for the orchestra, and everything here is round robin based for the short notes as well, just like they would be with a traditional symphonic library. And I'm using the stack function here. The stack function allows you to combine different groups. So you can see here I've actually made an entire brass ensemble from the deepest, lowest trombones all the way up to high trumpets as well. And let me just kick it off here by playing a little bit with our majestic library. We have a 240-piece real orchestra. Let me play with those first, and then let's try to stack these brass on top of them afterwards, and then I'll explain why I'm doing this crazy experiment. Okay, so that was the brass section from our majestic library, and now I'm going to combine it with our Hybrid Tools Synphony brass section here, so the trombones, the French horns, and the trumpets stacked on top. So as you may have noticed, I was playing a little bit with the volume slider here and sort of going in and out of the natural orchestra, and then sort of started sliding in the symphony orchestra here, the brass section. And as you may have noticed, it became more pointy and defined in the mix. And that's really one of the things we wanted to achieve with the symphony here. So if you use it in a hybrid context, and this is Hybrid Tools after all, and you blend it with your natural orchestra, you get a more modern sound. Everything is more defined. The notes don't have that more soft quality they get in the whole, but they're way more pointy. And combined, they really create that more hybrid, contemporary, modern mix where everything is a little more defined, so it's not just orchestral, but it's something more than just orchestral. Let me just quickly here play from the lowest note up to the higher one so you can hear the brass ensemble on its own. And you can hear those round robin repetition notes here on the short notes as well. Right, so let's keep the brass here and then move on here and start adding some strings. This is our Hybrid Tools Synphony orchestral strings. And again, you can see they follow the same principles here. We have the short notes and the long notes, and I'm using the stack function here, and this is actually the way it loads per default as well. So you have both the basses, the cellos, the violas, and the violins in round robin configuration. So let me try to play that together with the brass and the acoustic majestic brass as well. And you know, there's just another fatness to it. Those basses are really, really strong. Let me try to play them here. So it's funny because you get a reminiscent of orchestral strings, but you know it's not real as well. And it was never the intention of course, you can't create real strings with a synthesizer, but this was really our attempt to create the closest thing as we possibly could to make it sound somewhat real. Let me also just try to play the whole string section here from the low notes to the high. So even though they sound different and obviously not like a natural string, you still have sort of that same sphere, like the origin of the mass is the same, so to speak. Let me try to play a little more here with the strings, and let's add the synthetic brass as well, and then we'll add the majestic brass on top of that. It's just a really massive sound. And it's it's really about dialing in the right mix. You don't want them to be too dominating the mix. You want to leave a little breath for the orchestral stuff, but you want the pointiness, the definition, the clarity of the synthetic aspects here. It just gives a little more definition to the whole orchestral experience in a hybrid sense. Let me also here demonstrate a little of the woodwinds here. So I'm going to play the short winds here. And we also have them sustained here. And then I'll add the strings and the brass, and just so you can hear how the whole symphony orchestra works together. So that was just a symphony playing entirely on its own. Let me again try to play a little bit with the majestic brass, and let me play the brass first, and then I'll add the entire symphony orchestra on top of the acoustic brass as well. And now we're going to add both the symphony woodwinds, brass, and strings on top of that. And you can hear this unique combo being used in our demos as well, where we combine orchestral elements with the symphony as well. And it just gives that more modern sound. And it's tricky actually, because normally you'll be sitting, you'll have your normal stuff, and you're just like, oh, it doesn't sound real. It doesn't sound as beefy as it does in the movies and all that. And this is really one of the greatest tricks to augment it with synthesizers. But ideally you want synthesizers coming from the same family of sound, the same textural qualities, the same origin, the same substance. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here. And it's also great standalone as well. Let me show you another example here. This is one of our presets showing the brass. And as you can see here, we're playing a little bit with the glide, meaning that it's monophonic with a glissando kind of quality to it. Let me just try to play this standalone first using the sustained brass, and then I'm gonna play it together with the majestic brass as well, so you can hear that augmentation, what really happens when you start combining things. It's kind of a cool, massive sound. Now, let me try to play something else using the same patch, but I'm going to add the majestic brass on top. And sure, it doesn't sound completely real, but it doesn't sound completely unreal either, particularly when you combine the elements. Let me show you another patch here using our brass. On this one, we're using the sustained trombones, French horns, and trumpets using the stack function here, but we're also gating it. We have an awesome gate function here. I actually like to right-click on these and assigning to my key switches so I can control the length or the rate of the gate as well. But on this one, let me just play a little bit here. It's going to sound a little more like a synthesizer, and then I'll add a little bit of the majestic arc brass on top of that, just so you can hear again the combination between gated symphony brass and true brass on top of it. And this is actually using one of our presets here. Another aspect that's cool to this patch, if you go into our effects section here and you take a closer look at our filter here, and you click the sequence part here, you can see that it's actually sequencing in real time. The filter is being sequenced, and it's a really great trick for creating a little more variation in the sound. There's always something else going on. It's not just a static sort of arpeggiation, but you can see there's a little bit of the filter going on all the time. So it creates a small differentiation in the sound. It's just an awesome little feature. Another way to have fun with the brass is using our sequencer and arpeggiating function here. So you can see you can choose a variety of different ways of playing it. Obviously, this is using a combination of trombones, French horns, and short trumpets here. But this time around, I'm going to arpeggiate it. So essentially just hold down a variety of keys that are going to be playing in sequence here. And of course, it wouldn't be a full symphony orchestra without the woodwinds as well. We have short winds and sustained winds just in the same sense we had for brass and strings. Let me play a little bit here with the short winds using our arpeggiator again. And it's cool, you can really hear the round robin going on here, like the tight variation in the sound. It's not just a static synthesizer sound, but you actually get that natural variation as well. But there's a lot more to it here. Obviously, this was the Symphony Orchestra. We actually have percussion and timpani patches as well that I'm demonstrating in another video as well. And they're actually velocity based too, so you can use the step sequencer in here if you want to build sort of more elaborate grooves. And we also have drum sequences for the percussion as well. But next up, let me try to show a little bit about our cinematic basses. We both have cinematic basses, we have cinematic lead synthesizers, tonal noises, and sequence synthesizers. So we'll be taking a quick glance on those. Let me just unclick the stack function here to begin with. Obviously you can see there's one page of sounds here, and the great thing about this, and this goes for all our patches in the entire library, is that everything is loaded into RAM. So what you're looking at here is actually different patches with different samples, but they're all loaded at the same time. And the great thing about that is that you can use the stack function and you can combine things and make your own sounds here. But let me just start out by showing you a couple of the individual basses here, and then we'll use the stack function a little later. All right, so say that we like this smidgery sound here. It sort of have a muffled quality to it. So I'm gonna add the stack function now, and then I'm gonna start adding other patches. And a great trick, and this is something I do a lot, because this is really the method I like using. Instead of having sort of elaborate tools where you have to go in, oh, I want a sine wave and I want to filter that and LFO to that. These are really just ready-made. But the great thing is that you can sit with your mix, have a bass line going, and then you can just sit and stack and find the texture that goes with the mix. And I think it's really something that is often forgotten in the sort of style of epic music and sort of contemporary neo-classical orchestral music, that it's what really makes a lot of things sound good is the textures are combined, they work together. So what I'll do is that I'll have the bass line playing, and then I'll sit and stack and make a combo patch until it really sits in the mix and combines with the other elements and really sticks out on its own right as well. So let me just do that here. I'll start with this muffled smidgery sound, and then I'll add a few more so you can see what happens when you stack it. And that's just me playing on the mod wheel. Obviously we got filter associated in the mod wheel here. And you can actually, if you wanted to make like the most giant patch of all time, you can actually combine these. And this is essentially like taking a normal synthesizer, but combining a bunch of patches together. You need a variety of synthesizers to do that. So yeah, some crazy big sound. I almost don't want to know what it sounds like, but let's try. And that's what happens when you take 14, 15 synthesizers and combine them in real time here. Let's continue the experiment here. This is our cinematic lead synthesizers. So let me, in the same fashion as before, unclick the stack function here, go back to page 1. We actually have 2 different ones here. Let's keep the gator on here. I'm going to try a variety of patches here, but this time it's going to use the gate function as well. And I've actually in this one associated to my mod wheel. If you right click on any of these guys, you can associate them to anything you want. I like having the filter and the length of the gate combined to the same. So I normally associate it to the mod wheel. Sort of allows you to open and close the sound. So yeah, let me try a few here, and then we'll use the stack function afterwards. And then on this last one here, I'll play this singular sound here, but you're going to see me move the length of this guy here using my mod wheel, and I'll also be adjusting the filter at the same time. All right, so let's pick another sound here, and let's start to stack around it. So I'll be playing the trip first here, and then I'll click the stack function and start adding other patches to it. And obviously the textural quality of these sounds is a little bit different because we're sort of in the lead synthesizer realm. You can also see we have the glide function on here, which create a monophonic desanto function as well. And you can do a lot more. Let me just, let's keep the same patch here, but let me just fool around a little bit with the parameters here so you can see how quickly you can actually create something new here. And I might also click on our chaos button. You're going to see a lot of randomizations. All right, kind of crazy sound. If you want to take the concept of gating even further, you should load our sequence synthesizers. So these are kind of unique, actually. If you're familiar with our Rhythmic Aura series, you kind of understand the core principle behind them. So down here on each key, you got a different synthesizer, and further down here on your keyboard, you can actually control the pitch of the synthesizer as well. And we have those both for low, mid, and highs. So depending on where you want them, if you want basses or chords or lead-based elements, you can use these different categories here. But let me just try to show you right now, and there's actually no gating. This is the way they're done. They're sort of sequenced in a gate-like function. You can also add the gator or arpeggiator in here. But let me just play them standalone here so you can get a feeling for all the different textures here. Let's start with the low guys. And as I mentioned, you can also control the pitch down here. So let me just try to isolate one of these synthesizers here and then play with the pitch here so you can see how you can sculpt it that way as well. Let me also demonstrate a few sounds from the mid and high sequence here. And you can actually stack on this if you want, but you don't really need to. Let's go back here and try to play the same sound here. And then I'm gonna add a few more sounds here. You can actually play as many as you want, and then I'll do a little pitch control on it too. And we also got it for the high sequences here. Let me just try to combine a few things here on the keyboard and again play down here on the pitch. Let me also show you this last category here. These are called tonal noises. They're somewhere between a synthesizer and sound design. You're going to find some sort of untraditional synthetic elements in it, and then you're going to also find synthesizer elements. And obviously you got all the functions again, from the gate to the stack to the arpeggiator. You can even reverse all our sounds. We show that a lot in the preset video as well. And it's really great for the effects as well. So you just do a reverse and a gate, and all of a sudden you have something entirely new. You also have the pitch envelope here. Let me also demonstrate that a little bit. You can actually make some almost drum-like sounds. But let me just demonstrate a couple of the patches here first. And let me just try to chaos a couple of these patches. Obviously I'm going to turn stack on here, and then it's just going to chaos. So it's going to randomize a variety of these settings and combine patches, and we'll get some crazy sounds. Let me try a few here. Craziness. Let me try a few more. All right, that's a nice sound. Let me keep the sound combo here. Let me see if there's anything. Oh, there's actually 2 more sounds on the second page here. So it's actually 4 different patches combined. It's just very sharp and pointy. Let me just, in real time, sir, I'll just start adding some gate and start going into the effects here and play around. So just a little real-time fun to wrap up the video. And as you can see, I was actually sculpting a rhythm in real time. And it's a cool thing to do. It's something I often like. I like synthesizers not to be static, and they sit a lot better in the mix and become more a live element, if you will, once you start adding small features like that. So sculpt the rhythm with the synthesizer to the rest of your music as well. It just gives more life to it. Let me try a few more things here. Alright, so a little real-time fun here. This was Troll signing out with the Hybrid Tools Synphony.